Bloomberg TV, Doordarshan News, Tehelka, Reuters Asia, Headlines Today. She is the founder of Asia's first web channel on arts, Hunar TV, which focuses on curated content related to arts and culture. We are delighted to have you, ma'am, with us today. Now the platform is all yours.
As far as my contribution to today's session here is, it's going to be in terms of media consumption in mainstream newsroom experience that I've had as a consulting news editor and primetime news anchor. So it's going to be more in terms of that, what we really think about what we really define today as digital frontiers, and how are we going to be mapping the future discourse as far as the role of the media and people's lives are concerned. I have a very different take on this term called digital frontiers, because in my experience, this is specifically as far as news consumption for the layman is concerned, there are no frontiers in the digital world anymore. It's everywhere. It's all pervasive. It's omnipresent. Most people are equipped with a smartphone and they have access to the net, and they are continuously having access to news on digital platforms here. And this is where the worry has risen, because unlike very recently, when we talk about the past in terms of the digital world, the past is barely 5 to 6 years ago, at the most put it at 10 years. So when we talk about the past, which would at the most just stretch at 6 to 10 years, um, digital news and digital platforms for news were information platforms in the digital world were used very positively. It was a positive space. But because now there is so much bombardment of information on a daily basis, on a minute to minute basis here, this space has become chaotic. And it's a disruption. It's the nature of chaos that is extremely worrisome, because it has become increasingly negative. It has become violent as well. So when we talk about mapping a future discourse as far as this aspect of the digital world is concerned here, it's more like mapping wherever you're finding relative chaos here, and the nature of consumption that people do in terms of saying that this is news that they're consuming. They're no longer consuming news from legacy platforms. If they're in the digital world, they're consuming news from social media, from entertainment platforms, thinking that they're consuming genuine news, and that is what is causing a whole lot of chaos. And that is my point of grave concern here tonight, when I look at how future journalism students are responsible in controlling a lot of that chaos, in spearheading what would be required as a movement of bringing back the news to platforms which are legacy platforms, and more importantly to platforms which are known to verify facts, are known to verify information, instead of just throwing it out in the digital space here. Interestingly, these days I'm part of the BRICS Media Summit, the BRICS countries media platform here as well. It's a program that happens every year. There was a gap, I think, of about 2 years because of the pandemic, but it has restarted again this year, and it's all online, of course. But it's about a group of journalists. We're just about 25 of us, 5 of us selected from each of the BRICS countries here, and brought together with this exact purpose of addressing the concern of fake news, addressing how to control these disruptions and chaos which is caused by fake news. And of course, also trying to work positively in integrating our content, in making our content rich, user-friendly, useful to the news consumer here. But I'm going to be focusing here as far as the chaos that is being caused in the digital world and news consumption, that is, of course, in dealing with wrong facts and fake news here. A very interesting example that was given by a fellow journalist in China, where he said, and they have analyzed this in the past year and a half, and of course this figure has entirely shot up because it's been pandemic induced, where everyone's been on their phones for a major part of 2 years. He said that, and I think the figure that he quoted was 73%. 73% of senior citizens in China consume news from the TikTok platform. TikTok. And I was shocked when I heard that, because TikTok is parody, TikTok is silly fun, and they're consuming news from a platform which doesn't take anything seriously. So you can imagine the nature of chaos there, on how things are taken out of context, on how news is misconceived, on how news is manipulated, on how news could be put across as a satire, as a parody. But they're consuming news, thinking it's news, and they're consuming it from TikTok. And I was immediately reminded of what has already happened in our country, in India, as far as WhatsApp is concerned. This is the exact kind of chaos that we had seen very recently. I would say just about 5 years ago, when we had the start of horrifying lynching cases that have taken place in our country. This would be end 2016, 2017 specifically onwards here. In one of the cases, which the Supreme Court also stepped in here, saying that it is misinformation that has caused it, which had the government step in then and instruct WhatsApp in newer guidelines that were released by WhatsApp, that you could send in a forwarded message only to 20 people. That was further brought down, forwarded messages, to just 5 people at a time. And of course, each time that you sent a forwarded message, it came with the text on the top left of your message that this is forwarded. So the receiver of the message would know that this is a forwarded message and it has not come from the originator of a message. So, I mean, one would think that you would verify what has come in. These were reforms that were brought in 5 years. 5 years down the line, we have once again reached another level of chaos. When we talk about 2021, there's another set of chaos here where we require more updated IT guidelines here to tackle harassment by trolls, to tackle fake news. And once again, we're just catching up. We're running against time in reforming the digital news space, in making it a healthy space where information that you receive is verified. We have newer set of IT guidelines that were notified in July this year, but the damage that is done by this digital disruption is far too much than what any set of guidelines can, bring in, because we continuously just catching up with the damages here that have come in, and it becomes very difficult to plug these damages. It's difficult to plug these damages, and it's difficult to undo these damages, because a lot of these damages reflect in the real world, in the physical world. These damages have led to violence. These damages have led to these damages are in terms of violence, in terms of clashes, in terms of lynching, in terms of loss of life. So that is the extent of the damage that we're talking about here. There are a few examples here that come to my mind that show the power of this digital disruption that can be used positively. There are very few examples. I mean, I could give a list of examples of how this has damaged society today. I have to think really hard looking at the positives. And that one positive also came out from a tragedy, the tragedy of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic that India faced, the devastating tragedy that we faced, in which we had Twitter being used positively by people, by the citizenry. They were sending out SOS messages, helping people get oxygen, medicine, beds, and that is how in a long time, we had seen how social media could be used positively. Another example, of course, on an extremely niche platform, which doesn't affect too many lives, is investment in cryptocurrency. I mean, the spike in the popularity of cryptocurrency, and when I talk about the NFTs, which are the artworks on the digital platform, the investment spike in that, of course, has been because of the massive use of digital tools that have gone up during the pandemic. But these are very few positive examples. We need to be using our digital space far more positively instead of damaging people's lives here. What we are going through right now, which is post-pandemic, I mean, we would say post-pandemic, but we're still in the pandemic. We could have another wave triggered by the Omicron, but it is post 2 years of now understanding that the hybrid world now is going to be our reality. So we have undergone once in a lifetime global change, and this hybrid world of being both offline as well as online simultaneously, be in terms of personal life, be in terms of social engagements, be in terms of discussions that we're having, such as today, and be in terms of work as well. The online is now continuously going to run parallel with us. It's no longer going to be switch off, switch on for online. That will run parallel with our offline life. So this is going to be a huge task for us here, to maintain peace, to respect our democratic values here while we consume data. It's important for each one of us to smarten up. And when I talk about smartening up for the layman here, it's I would look at it as a Herculean task in terms of not knowing the information of news, digital news that you have in your smartphone, whether it's authentic and how to verify it. I mean, we come from the professional news world. We know tools that exist, such as Google, such as InMapping, such as InVid. These are tools for us to know that these can be used to verify information. And apart from these tools, we have our own whole network of on-ground reporters and correspondents as well to verify information. But for the layman to know that the information that he's receiving on the digital space here, to what extent it is genuine and how to verify that, that is going to be a huge task. We need user-friendly tools that even empowers the layman to verify information. We are looking at this happening in legacy news platforms. As far as being callous with information, I think to an extent, I would also hold legacy news platforms responsible, because we have all run into this mess of giving out information that should go viral. You know, in the middle, in the television news industry, it was about giving out information first. So we had the breaking news madness. Verify hua, kitna verify hua, just put it out, be the first. Be the first to bring out the news. We have gone beyond that madness of being the first and entered another level of madness of being the most viral. And in that rush to be the most viral, we have started behaving. A lot of legacy news platforms, which are also diversifying into the digital space, are now behaving and competing with platforms such as TikTok and Snapchat and Twitter videos and Facebook videos here. Horrifying examples that come to my mind. A video game, a video game sequence of fighter jets has been used on national news television to show the fall of the Afghanistan government, to show the final frontier, Kandahar, having fallen. And Kandahar hadn't fallen, but a video game was used to show the final end of representatives of the Afghanistan government. In the entertainment world, it's a chaos of another level. I mean, there's a morphed photograph, which I just saw a few hours ago today, and which was done with a very popular national television news channel, putting a morphed photograph of actor Ranbir Kapoor in Katrina Kaif's wedding celebrations and Mehendi celebrations to show that her former partner had come in and how did that happen. And it was completely fake. And there was no need for a news channel to be running into this space of such random fake news. It's just this madness just to go viral. Seriously, sometimes I think I won't be surprised that a Minecraft game video is put up on a news channel to say that this is the latest building that has been made by some government. We're not far away from there unless we put an absolute stop to this nonsense here. And it really worries me as someone who's been in mainstream news and who's been in the front of what has happened to our news, television news in 20 years. There's a huge graph that I have witnessed and observed And it worries me to what our next generation is going to be headed into. Uh, when I talk about the next generation, I would talk about the next generation in terms of a news consumer, as well as the next generation who's interested in getting into news media, on so many checks and balances now that need to be kept in mind here to be a responsible journalist. So, in my opinion, I would like to partly conclude here saying that right now, as far as the frontier to conquer today is not digital. The digital is no longer in terms of frontiers. As I said, it's all pervasive. I think it's fake news that needs to be controlled, and that is the challenge, and that is what we need to keep a check on. Um, the violence. I'm going to be giving in some more examples just to highlight and emphasize on the extent of the trouble that we're talking about today. The violence that happened against minorities in Bangladesh is used out of context to create violence against minorities that had happened in Manipur. A fake YouTube video, an entirely fake information video on YouTube, caused violence against a church, I beg your pardon, a school, a Christian school in Madhya Pradesh, which was attacked during the time the students were taking their exams. And the basis of this trigger of violence was a YouTube video with absolutely fake information. So that is how grave the situation here is today. And a major part of mapping the future discourse of what we're talking about is that to have our IT guidelines actually bring the criminal to task, to bring the person to book, to whether or not our cyber cells of all police stations across the country here are equipped enough, updated enough on a daily basis to deal with this mischief, because mischief makers have access to the digital, have access to all platforms, but lawmakers and protectors of law, as I said, are still catching up. So that should be our absolute focus here, not just as a responsibility as citizens of news consumers, but governments and lawmakers here as well, to be true to the facts, to be entirely true to the facts. And when we talk about our future, that is the emphasis here. And that is where I would like to leave my concern in building what we should keep in mind for the future discourse.
Very interesting, very interesting. Frontier to conquer is not the digital, it is all pervasive, but it is the fake news which is the frontier to conquer. This is a very important message from this talk. And I do believe that there is a need for an all pervasive or all encompassing media literacy movement in the country to understand what is fake and what is not, what is good and what is bad. And it must start like the way we learn basics of communication from school. We need to understand as the time comes, we need to understand what is wrong and what is right or fake or not fake, perhaps from school, if not junior, at least from the +2 level, surely at the university level. And future discourse needs IT guidelines to bring cyber criminals to task, even those who are spreading harmful fake information. Very well said. Thank you for all the very timely contemporary comments that you have given. And the way you said, Omicron, I was almost telling, oh my God. So it's almost like fearing the next pandemic. I hope it doesn't come.